when it came to last year, um, the white supremacist propaganda soared to an all-time high last year. The number of incidents increased by 38% from the previous year. The Anti-Defamation League recorded the highest number of white supremacist propaganda incidents back in 2022, according to a report that was released last week. Now, the number of incidents had increased by 38% from the previous year, with a total of 6,751 cases reported last year, compared to the 4,876 that happened back in 2021. ADL's Center on Extremism Bound. Now, similarly, the number of groups involved in the incidents last year also increased, rising from 38 different groups to 50. This is what Carla Hill, director of investigative research with ADL Center on Extremism, had said. Now, at least 3 networks, including Patriot Front, which should be Patriot Front, Goyim Defense League, which is known as GDL, and the White Lives Matter WLM, were responsible for 93% of the activity. So what we're seeing is a lot of overlap. We'll see propaganda distributed together from 2 different sources, so that really demonstrates how they're networking and overlapping across the country. Now, the group uses different tools to spread propaganda, varying from graffiti, posters, stickers, and banners, to even sticking up yard signs and laser projections with words. The propaganda is then promoted online after members share messages on social media with the purpose of inciting fear and spreading it. It's to sow anxiety and fear within these communities, and it makes them feel like this movement is even bigger than it is, and to mainstream that message. Repeat, until people aren't as offended by it anymore, since they've heard it over 6,000 times. Now, Patriot Front, which has led the propaganda efforts for several years, uses inundation as a method to spread their message. But their technique is to use soft messaging to push out extremism rhetoric in a way that is easily digestible, like including a link in their material, which leads people to a white supremacist website. Now, other groups like GDL use explicit propaganda, and they release anti-Semitic messages. The network gets attention from just how visceral its messaging is, and how they use anti-Semitism as a tool for entertainment. Now, they think it's funny that it upsets people and it puts fear in these communities, and they share their humor online. It's attracting more people, but the leader of that group really uses that as a tool to recruit more. Now, the report found that GDL had a significant crossover with other white supremacist groups and movements, and was responsible for at least 492 propaganda incidents in 2022. Now, the anti-Semitic propaganda more than doubled last year, rising from 352 incidents in 2021 to 852 in 2022. Now, each group has their own decision on optics, and within the white supremacist movement, this is always a debate. Do we go hard and very vocal and specific, or do we soften it to try to get people on the fence to come over to our side? Now, outside of these 2 different methods to recruit new members, there are also groups like White Lives Matter, which initially formed as a racist response to the Black Lives Matter movement to promote the white race. But the group attracted more and more extremists who distributed anti-Semitic propaganda with the swastikas. The different types of propaganda have a similar underlying messages, said Jill Garvey, who's the chief of staff at Western States Center. Now, it's all couched in this idea that there is some great controlling evil factor involved. This is what Garvey had told Salon. It's usually narrated as an all-powerful Jewish cabal that's controlling media, entertainment, information, and politics, and groups have become more coordinated over time. She added, pointing to the Patriot Front, the Texas-based group responsible for roughly 80% of all propaganda incidents nationally. Now, Texas led the nation in white supremacist propaganda incidents last year, accounting for 527 of the 6,750 incidents tallied by the ADL in 2022, which was a 61% increase statewide and a 38% jump nationally since 2021. Now, Patriot Front was most active in Massachusetts, Texas, Michigan, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Utah. Now, the group has a mandate to spread a certain amount of propaganda, which explains the numbers. Unlike other groups that function more as networks to spread hateful messaging where anyone can amplify their information, Patriot Front has all those members. The group was responsible for 26 events last year, including four of the largest flash demonstrations, consisting of marches in the town of Chicago, Washington D.C., Boston, and Indianapolis. Patriot Front also protested the LGBTQ events in Texas and Ohio. In June, 31 members of Patriot Front were arrested in I'm not sure I'm going to say this right. Coyer, D'Alene, Idaho. Not sure if I said that right. After police stopped a U-Haul truck near a Pride in the Park event, and they found members dressed uniformly and equipped with riot shields, and they were charged with a criminal conspiracy to riot. 17 organizations sent a letter to the Department of Justice after the event asking for federal intervention into Fake Trade Front's coordinated plan to disrupt the Pride in the Park. The letter pointed out that members were only able to step in after a concerned community member basically had alerted a local law enforcement about a little army of masked men. Now, the department didn't inform them that they would launch an investigation, which would have served as a good motivator for local authorities to take these issues seriously, Garvey had said. She pointed out that local jurisdictions often lack the resources and the means to hold extremist groups accountable. Just as Fake Trade Front is coordinated at a higher level, these localities are not coordinated at a higher level. Even if the laws are on their side to prosecute these crimes, they may not really understand how to do it or be incentivized to do it. Beyond law enforcement and criminal investigations that can hold these groups accountable, it's also necessary for the civic leaders and the institutions to respond to the spread of white supremacist propaganda. Now, having a compressive, coordinated response among elected officials and other civic leaders is the very best way to show a community that doesn't have to be intimidated and terrorized, and it is the fastest way to get agitators to back down. Now, this is important as extremist groups are growing and becoming more coordinated at a higher level than people realize. Now, pointing to resources Western State Center has to offer for civic leaders and toolkits for addressing white nationalism in schools and libraries. Now, this is more sort of a decentralized networking happening along these groups. That's certainly a trend we've seen, and it makes this activity a little bit more dangerous. So, if you like the video, you can get the video, like and subscribe to my channel, REW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified. REW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube, and for just a little as a few bucks a video or a month, your donation can help go a long way. Also, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and thanks for listening.